Lights out, we're racing in MotoGP here in the Grand Prix of Spain. Not a clean getaway at all by Marc Marquez, was it? He's going backwards into fourth place. Was that whole shot device engaged for the number 93? Aggressive he is on the inside now of Alex. Quartararo though it is, they've got the whole shot. Bagnaia trying to get aggressive on the inside at turn 2. Quartararo leads, Bagnaia second. It was not the perfect launch for Marquez.
And not a good start either for one of those VR46 Ducatis. That is Frankie Morbidelli dropping backwards. Maverick Vinales is still there in the top 6, is in 5th place. Marc Marquez goes straight through on Pecco Bagnaia, is he? He's trying to go around the outside into turn 5. That would be brave.
Oh, red on red. How close was that coming through the high-speed left-hander of turn 4? Quartararo then leads the Grand Prix for the first time since the Sachsenring all the way back in 2022. He's at the corner where he crashed out the sprint yesterday, coming from a long way back is Alex Marquez. Oh, eye of the needle. Alex Marquez will have his heart in his mouth there because he was so close to contact with Marc and also Pecco Bagnaia. That's dropped the 73 back down to, well, outside of the top 5.
Oh, Marc Marquez straight at the inside of Bagnaia into turn 7. That is a brave move. Bagnaia then drops behind his teammate, but he wants it straight back again.
Oh, listen to the crowd. They are on their feet. They're already crying themselves hoarse. Through turn 10 we go. Bagnaia and Marc Marquez leading each other. We saw this in the Grand Prix later last year. Oh, there's contact. What a first lap this has been here in Jerez. Drama to the extreme. Fabio Quartararo clearing off at the front of this Grand Prix. Bagnaia and Marquez have had, what, 4 or 5 aggressive overtakes on this first lap alone. A first lap for the ages here in the Spanish Grand Prix, which will be led by Fabio Quartararo. Bagnaia looking for his 4th successive win here in Spain. He is still somehow in 2nd place after what an incredible first lap.
Well, that was a bold move from Marc Marquez into turn 7 on his teammate Bagnaia. Pecco Bagnaia said, I am not having a piece of that. Take that. And he went straight back through as they once again made contact through that stadium section for the 2nd year in a row. And like last year, it's Bagnaia who came out ahead.
It's Bagnaia attack mode, isn't it? Marco Bezzecchi. There's going to be no repeat of his podium here last year when he was on the Ducati. Bez has crashed out early on the factory Aprilia. Wow, that was an incredible first lap, wasn't it? We almost felt like we had an entire 25 laps of drama in that opening circuit around this 4.4 kilometre of our track. Quartararo at the moment, free of all the drama, free of all the chaos that's unfolding behind him. There he is in the factory Yamaha now, out of 6. Bagnaia there in 2nd place. Well, he said he had to be aggressive. Oh no, Marc Marquez has crashed! Marc Marquez has crashed out of 3rd place here in the Spanish Grand Prix. It is a 2nd big mistake for Marc in 3 Grand Prix. He was 2.5 seconds clear when he crashed out of the lead in Austin about a month ago, and he has dropped the ball big time once again here. You could hear the moans, you could hear the groans from the Spanish fans in Barcelona and in Madrid. They cannot believe what they've just seen through turn 8. Marc Marquez goes, tries to pick it up on his elbow, but he cranes into the gravel trap in a cloud of dust. And now this has completely changed the game in terms of the Spanish Grand Prix and the World Championship. Can you believe it?
Well, it's not often I'm speechless, but I cannot believe what I've just seen. We've said it already this season. It felt like the only rider that could beat Marc Marquez was Marc Marquez himself. And another unforced error from the 93, who is still running. He's getting a massive cheer from the fans as he now comes across the finish line. But Marc Marquez is now 20 seconds behind in 22nd place. And surely he's blown any hope of standing on the podium in front of his home crowd today.
Here comes Alex. He's going to be aggressive on the inside of Bagnaia into turn 13. That's lovely. That is a beautiful textbook move by Alex on the brakes into that final corner. The crowd are on their feet now, and this would see a tie going to Le Mans in terms of the championship. It could, of course, get better for Alex Marquez. Is he going to ever have a better chance of breaking his victory duck in the MotoGP World Championship?
What a place to do it as well.
What a place
to the Spanish Grand Prix. Fabio Quartararo then leads by around 4/10 of a second. And Alex Marquez, of course, he won't want to sit behind Bagnaia and Quartararo for too long and let his front tyre cook and the front tyre pressure go through the roof. So that's why he was so keen to get through on Pecco Bagnaia. Surely he's not going to sit behind Quartararo for too long if he can help it.
the shock, the surprise. We're still stunned, we're still shocked in the commentary box here. Marc Marquez has crashed a couple laps ago at turn 8. It has left the door wide open now. Opportunity knocks for Fabio Quartararo, winless in MotoGP since the sanction ring in 2022. It opens the door potentially for Alex to win his first ever MotoGP race and potentially seize the lead back in the World Championship. It opens the door potentially for Pecco Bagnaia to win his 4th race in a row here in Jerez. What a race we have on.
And does it potentially open the door for a podium visit for the first time for Fermin Aldeguer, who's in 4th place now, having got past Maverick Vinales in those early stages. Aldeguer himself is only a second and a half off the race lead. So much focus is on what's going on at the front, and now a leading 3 who remain. But don't keep an eye on Fermin Aldeguer. Don't rule him out of this yet.
Oh, no, Fermin Aldeguer's crashed out of podium contention. Well, we saw Marc Marquez crash out of victory contention in COTA. We saw Fermin Aldeguer crash out of top 5 contention in COTA as well. They've both done the same here in Jerez. Aldeguer then goes down at turn 6 mid-corner. So that will now push Maverick Vinales up into 4th place. This is going to be one of clearly the major talking points of this Spanish Grand Prix as he flicked it left into turn 8 at the Jorge Martinez Aspar corner. 3rd gear through there. They cannot believe it, can they? Inside the Ducati Lenovo team garage. They're just as shell-shocked as what we are. How the heck is Marc Marquez doing low 138s with a motorcycle that's as damaged as that?
Because he's a very talented rider. He is exceptional, but as we've seen this afternoon, once again, he is human, and Marc Marquez has made a human error this afternoon, and it certainly cost him the Spanish Grand Prix. Has it cost him the World Championship lead? The answer will be yes, if Alex Marquez can overhaul Fabio Quartararo. But as I said a couple of laps ago, Quartararo is riding this Yamaha beautifully. He is not offering Alex Marquez anything at this stage.
Indonesia 2023 as Marquez picks his way through on Somkiat Chantra. The Lombok Grand Prix in 23 was the last time Quartararo was on the podium. As he mentioned pre-commentary, although he did briefly lead the sprint yesterday, this is the first time he's led a main Grand Prix since the sanction ring in 2022 when he moved over 90 points clear of Bagnaia at that stage of the season. We thought it was a foregone conclusion that he was going to successfully retain the championship, and of course he just fell apart in the second half of the campaign, eventually lost that season to Bagnaia. Talking about the Italian, just not really making any kind of significant inroads, is he, towards Quartararo and Alex Marquez? Is Bagnaia, is this a ploy where he's just content, just happy to sit off those 2 ahead of him, just to maybe protect the front tyre pressure and front tyre temperature on that Michelin front? Or is he under the cosh? Is this as fast as he can go?
Well, he said yesterday, didn't he, that he couldn't get within that sort of half second, 7/10 of a second of Alex Marquez through the entire sprint. Just couldn't go anywhere. Just had to ride around in 3rd place. Was under no threat from behind, as she isn't in this particular Grand Prix, but not able to make any inroads up ahead. But we still have a long way to go. We are not at half distance in what has already been an extraordinary Spanish Grand Prix as we watch the 2 factory KTMs in their battle for 9th place. Quartararo's lead did come down on that lap, and the lead is now gone. Alex Marquez strikes at the start of lap 11.
Alex Marquez decides this is his time. He hits the front here in Jerez, right in front of the Marquez grandstands. Is Alex Marquez then now on course for his first ever MotoGP victory? Of course, decisive in the championship, that move as well, because it does now mean that he leads going to the French Grand Prix in Le Mans in 2 weeks' time. Something's happened here for the 43 Yamaha of Jack Miller, who looks really frustrated. It looks like there's a technical issue that's going to rule Fuller Miller out of this Spanish Grand Prix.
Yeah, it was running in 11th place, so points have disappeared for Jack Miller. Fabio Quartararo matched Alex Marquez in the high 137th last time round. The one rider who struggled and suffered on that lap was Bagnaia, who did a 38.2. His advantage over Vinales now for that final podium position is down to 0.6 of a second.
Fair play to Vinales. He's 5 seconds up the road compared to the next KTM. That's in the hands of Brad Binder. Speaking of Binder, we pick him up right now. This is the battle that he's engaging with. Joan Mir is involved, so is Frankie Morbidelli. Mir on a factory Honda has only ever had 1 previous top 6 in a Grand Prix. That was a 5th place in India a couple of years back, so this is by far... Oh, no!
Down he goes.
Well, there we go. The commentator curse well and truly does strike there, doesn't it, as Joan Mir bites the dust mid-corner through turn 6. How many times have we seen the 27-year-old Spaniard blow golden opportunities of big point-scoring finishes? That is now going to be Mir's 9th DNF in the last 11 Grand Prix.
I wonder whether he was just suckered in there by Frankie Morbidelli, who outbraked himself into turn 6. Mir then followed him in, and then once he got onto the dirty tarmac on the outside, he lost the front. Alex Marquez looks like he's stretching this one out now. 1.5 is the lead through the third sector over Fabio Quartararo, who's not exactly under intense pressure from Bagnaia himself. Let's track them across the line. Lap 15 of 25 completed. Alex Marquez dropped his pace to a 1:37.7 on that last lap, half a second quicker than Quartararo, and that lead is now 1.6.
Let's just have a look at perhaps how far Marc Marquez will be able to recover. 14th certainly from a later spark if he carries on this kind of pace. 13th not out of the equation either, ahead of Raul Fernandez, a 1:37.5 and a damaged Ducati. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, I think he'll get Alex Rins as well at the current pace that he's going. He'll probably run out of time to catch Johan Zarco, but don't put anything beyond Marc Marquez and his powers of recovery as Quartararo continues to maintain that half a second lead. They all did 1:38.2s, those three riders that are battling for second, third and fourth. Here we are on board with Marc Marquez. Up ahead of us is Aleix Espargaro on the Honda, then it's Raul Fernandez. So this is a three-way battle for 13th place, and given that's the current situation, Marc Marquez could do with these points.
Yeah, we sensed very, very quickly that this was going to be all over as far as Aleix Espargaro and Raul Fernandez were concerned. He'll make light work of his fellow Spaniard surely directly ahead of him. Some crucial information and data being gathered by Aleix Espargaro on that very development RC213V. Yeah, this will just be, he'll pick up the drive grip now, only Mark on the exit of turn 5. Will he be close enough to attack? Aleix Espargaro's trying to find a way through on Raul Fernandez into 6. He has made it through on entry. He's going to run wide though, is he surely? Marc Marquez almost into the back of Raul Fernandez. Jack just informing us that Fermin Aldeguer, after his crash out of podium contention at turn 6 earlier on, the Spaniard has called it a day. He has just pitted.
Best form of defence's attack then, I guess, for Aleix Espargaro as Raul Fernandez goes wide there through the very same corner that Marc Marquez crashed out at earlier on. Marc Marquez through then into 14th place. So the bike that Aleix Espargaro had between himself and the 93 lasted all of 2 corners.
Marquez then does finally get through on Aleix Espargaro, albeit briefly, in that final corner. 2 very experienced, wise old heads here battling it out towards the bottom end of the point scoring places. He's having another dip now on Aleix into the first corner. Is this one going to work out for Mark? He'll just make sure he's got the inside line going into 2. So that is up into P13 for Marc Marquez, and more very important World Championship points being salvaged here by the 93.
Well, I don't think Aleix Espargaro on his return to action this weekend as a wildcard, if it's hard to pass, thought he'd be battling with Marc Marquez at any stage this weekend, but that's what we saw for a lap or so, and he certainly didn't let that go easily. But I guess given that he's on a bit of an experimental Honda, the leading thought in his mind would be, I better make sure I bring this RC213V back in one piece rather than running into the World Championship leader.
This has been superb, hasn't it, by Quartararo, splitting those 2 dominant Ducatis at the front of this Grand Prix. He led it till, what, about lap 11 when Alex Marquez got through at the first corner. And from that point onwards, you've never really felt like it's been in any serious doubt. What's going through the mind right now of Pecco Bagnaia? Pre-season, we all thought, well, how does he solve a problem like Marc Marquez? Well, at the moment, it's how does he solve a problem like Marc and Alex Marquez? Because this is going to be yet another Grand Prix where he's going to be second best to Alex as well. And that was not really in the pre-season script, was it?
No, he'll be grateful of the points, I'm sure. Of course, the World Championship situation will improve for Pecco Bagnaia, although he'll stay in 3rd place, 16 points. Of course, with Marc Marquez currently in 13th place, Bagnaia would be 18 points behind Marc Marquez, who in turn would be 2 points behind Alex Marquez. 1 more lap to go, and this is the scenario that Alex Marquez must have dreamt of as a little boy when he came here through the gates to watch the Spanish Grand Prix as a child. Made his Grand Prix debut here over a decade ago. The biggest 90 seconds of Alex Marquez's life start now.
He is on the biggest 4.4 kilometres of his Grand Prix career. It is just, what now, less than 10 corners standing between Alex Marquez and the biggest day, one of the biggest days of his Grand Prix career. Do you feel that he is your rider of the race? Vote now with the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of your screens. Quartararo, can he cling on to this second place? Alex Marquez hard on the brakes into turn 6, where it nearly all turned to disaster on the first corner. A little bit out of shape on the brakes. Steady on, Alex. But I don't think we can get more drama at the end of this Grand Prix. He now goes through into turn 7. Surely now Alex Marquez will be victorious. He will reign in Spain in 2025.
Saw his father Julian Marquez in the box. We now look at him. He can barely watch. He is getting such a huge cheer. So many of them have come to Jerez this afternoon looking for Marc Marquez to take victory. Today though, Alex, this looks like being your day.
He's already punching in the air in delight. The big fist wave to the crowd who are on their feet, making the biggest noise you've heard in Jerez for many a decade. He now comes through the Crivier corner. One corner left and now for Alex Marquez. If there was a roof on Jerez, it will be about to be lifted off, because out of the final corner comes the number 73. And finally we can say Alex Marquez is a MotoGP winner. He does reign in Spain here in Jerez in a truly dramatic Spanish Grand Prix. Pecco Bagnaia is able to take second place from the utterly brilliant Fabio Quartararo. Quartararo on the podium for the first time in 30 Grand Prix. Bagnaia third. Vinales leads the KTM Challenge in fourth place. There's Carlos Alcaraz, the Chinese superstar, waving the checkered flag. Del Antonio fifth. Marc Marquez does return to 12th place after his early crash at turn 8. There's going to be some incredible, special, emotional celebrations now. Alex, your race winner in Spain. Surely he's going to be congratulated very, very soon by Marc. What a Spanish Grand Prix.
Little brother, big win. Alex Marquez claims a maiden victory in MotoGP, finishing ahead of fabulous Frenchman Fabio Quartararo, who took his first podium finish since 2023. Rounding out the top 3, it's Francesco Bagnaia in third.